Pretty good array of motorcycle representation here. I mean, these are all the sport bikes, but I don't know. Out of all the motorcycles you think that people would ride to work, you wouldn't think sport bike. You'd think, oh, I need gas. Alright, so we gotta stop and get gas, knock out a vlog, then we're back home to let the dog out before I gotta start working again. Alright, step 1, gas, done. Step 2 is going to be sharing what I've learned about touring on this bike. Me personally, I knew that I had this big long trip and I wanted to do it just to say that I had done it. It seemed like a fun thing. I was the only one going. By the time I was done, my hands, my feet, and my ass were just killing me.
Does your ass feel numb?
Over the years, my ass has taken a pounding.
My back actually did all right. I don't know if that's my posture or what, but that was like the only thing that was okay. One thing that was a big help though is I invested in an air hawk seat, because when your ass is sweating you get uncomfortable, especially on a bike like this where the seat is kind of tipped forward to keep you in the saddle when you're accelerating. What I ended up doing on a longer trip when I didn't have this air hawk seat is I would try and reposition myself because I was so far up against the tank that I needed to like move back. But I was moving to the top of the seat. After a while, you just end up sliding back down and your jeans would be rubbing up against your sweaty ass. And after like 10-15 times of doing that, it starts to hurt. And then you're doing that all day long. It's just uncomfortable. So air hawk seat is definitely a good idea because all the air chambers are connected. So like for me, if I sit all the way on the back of this thing, most of the air rushes to the front and it creates like a level seat. Other than having a decent seat is having a decent backpack. The key to a long tour is try to get everything off your back. Pack smart, pack light, because again, you're trying to minimize the load. One thing that this bag allows for that's very crucial is camelback insert. To tell you how hot it was at 6 p.m. when I was rolling into my destination, I think it was 97 degrees out. So that's the time of day where it's supposed to be starting to cool down. So it was pretty nasty. I think it was a 70-ounce camelback. Every 200 miles I would try and suck one of those down. But it was nice knowing that I could suck down that water as quick as I wanted because I can only go, I think, 160 miles comfortably on this. And that was the other good thing. After 160 miles, you start thinking to yourself, oh man, my ass totally hurts. I'm so happy to be stopping because I have to fill up for gas. That's nice as well. Now, on the ride home, what you guys didn't see was I was planning to stay in Pennsylvania for a couple of days and then afterward ride home. But what happened was my wife sent me a text and said, hey, this is what the weather looks like tomorrow, and the entire way was rain. I immediately threw everything in my bag, jumped on my bike, and got going. Now, because I did that, I didn't have any of my batteries charged, so I didn't get any good footage on the way. I didn't get any. My intention was to get more footage on the way home. I got zero. So the things that you missed, I rode through Ohio and ran through the biggest rainstorm I've ever seen in my life. I got soaked. My gloves were soaked. My boots were soaked. It rained so hard that my leather jacket was saturated. My rain-resistant pants, not rain-proof pants, my rain-resistant pants were letting water through just because it was so nasty. I rode with soggy gloves for forever, and the moment they dried out, I ran through another huge storm. And that storm beat the previous record of the day for the nastiest weather I've ever ridden in, because I got hailed on. You know, like the type of traffic where it's raining so hard that everybody in the car slows down to like 10 mile an hour and they have their flashers on and they got their wipers on. That's what I was riding through, except it was 6 lanes wide. Everybody was dead stopped like a traffic jam, and it was hailing. So at that point I was an hour from home, traffic wasn't moving, so I was like, whatever, I'm getting hailed on, and I split lanes, and I actually split right past a cop, and it seemed like he didn't care because he's like, I think everybody felt for me. Usually in Illinois, everybody's pissed at what you're doing. Everybody's so mad that you're getting somewhere faster than they are that I think in this situation they felt for me and just kind of let me go. There were a lot of people, I don't know if it was just because they didn't expect me to split, or if they weren't paying attention, or if they were actually being nice, but there were a lot of people that kind of moved over and gave me more room. Look at this license plate. Why I oughta. That storm that I was trying to avoid for the entire day, I think that's what I rode through as I was coming home in that last hour. So I did finally get home, and then all I wanted to do is shower, drink water, eat something, and go to sleep, which was perfect, and that's what I did. My wife had one of her little cousins in town, and we took her to the Museum of Science and Industry the very next day, and all I could think about the entire time was, I can't believe how comfortable a car is. We sat in traffic for an hour and a half trying to get out of the city, and it was like not a big deal at all. As long as you're not feathering the clutch, sweating your ass off. And then a trip like this, being forced to go that far in that amount of time, I think it forces you to realize your limitations on a motorcycle, or at least like what you can do and where you start feeling bad. So I think I could go on a trip and then have like 5 hours be the max before I start getting angry, because after that everything is just like, okay, let's get there. Because once you get close to the end of the trip, you start getting excited that you're going to be there and your morale goes up. But it didn't really show in the video on my way out there, but I stayed pretty positive. But on the way back, those Indiana toll roads that I was telling you about that were so nice and smooth, on the way home, those roads haven't been done yet, and there was a bunch of bumps in it and a bunch of like folds that would buck you. So after 21 hours of sitting on this bike and a super sore ass and sore feet and sore hands, I'm getting bucked on this bike, and I was like mad and yelling. So that's definitely a part everyone didn't see. Now all we got to do is get home, take the dog out, and probably by that time we'll have 20 minutes in order to log on successfully and join a meeting. I will tell you this much, sitting in traffic like this sucks compared to being on the highway doing 80. So the purpose of this vlog, I learned a lot of things on this long trip that I did to Pennsylvania and back. Mostly about limitations and gizmos and gadgets that can help you. The first thing about touring on a sport bike like this, you're gonna have to accept that you're gonna be uncomfortable and it's a bad idea for you to be doing it. Your ass and your feet and your hands are gonna hurt.